Welcome to r/malicious compliance, where we share stories of people conforming to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. And today we have 3 great stories, so subscribe, hit the like button, and let's begin. The first story. Third shift supervisor wanted me to deliver parts to him at 2 a.m., but I refused him. The second story. Boss scolded me for being late, threw a plate at me, and was fired. The third story. I ordered a pizza and sat in the dining room even though the manager wouldn't let us sit in the dining room. The first story is, you want me to deliver something at 2 a.m. Sorry, I'm currently 4 hours out and can't help. So here for some backstory. The company I worked for handled an external warehouse for our customer. Basically hold all the parts off-site, since they did not have enough space on their shop floor. This company I worked at also had some parts that they were the supplier for, so we had our own warehouse and also the customers in the same building. We had 2 main processes at our facility. 1, sending our parts to their warehouse. Basically, they would order through their system. We would acknowledge and ship, all done with a connection between our systems. 2, shipping from their warehouse we handled to them. They would give us a list in first and second shift of what we needed to ship. They had 3 shifts, we had 2. This meant that second shift had to order for third. Now, if you know anything of how orders and shipping goes, then you know that shipping anything different than ordered is bad. Basically, it lowers your supplier rating if you're late, early, too many or too few parts. Same goes for quality of parts. This meant we could only ever sell them what they ordered, unless they send a new order to us with more parts. For the most part, this was not an issue, since we usually had about 2 to 3 weeks of inventory in their system, and another month or so of stock in ours. Now, if ever they ordered something to be delivered to their production facility that we did not have in their inventory in our warehouse, then I could not ship. This normally also meant I didn't have that part in stock, except ours. This will come into play later. Now, since they had 3 shifts running, it meant that the logistics people who ordered parts had overlap with first and second shift. So if any of them saw a problem with our parts, they could have them make a new order before our office closed. This had to be all done by me since warehouse was not allowed to make invoices and stuff to sell parts. This all worked like a charm. Second shift would come in, check inventory, physically count since the system could not be trusted, and tell us if there was a potential problem, which we never really had until they decided to reduce inventory. So now they only kept stock for 1 week of our parts. This meant that if they ran faster than planned or had an incorrect inventory, then they would run out of our part ahead of time, which usually would get caught by second shift. Now, at one point, something happened with the second shift guy in the company he worked at, and he stopped checking the inventory early, or just didn't give a crap anymore. This meant that when we got the orders 7 to 8 p.m., there was no one from logistics around anymore to make a new order. So if we didn't have our part in their inventory anymore, we would not ship. We also normally can't just pull from our inventory and give them the parts. That's a big no-no. For the most part, no problem. Third shift somehow managed, and come Monday morning, we would have a rush delivery. Until one day. It's Sunday morning, 2 a.m. They're still running their third shift and we're closed. Remember, they ran 3 shifts Monday through Saturday, and we only had 2. I get a call. Me is me. 3SS is third shift supervisor. Me. Hey, this is me. What's up, 3SS? 3SS. Hey, me. I have a problem part here. Part is XGHYSJS. Do you have any you can send us? Me. Yeah, I do have that in my stock, but we're closed. There's no one in the warehouse. 3SS. I know you're closed. We're almost out and have another 4 hours to run. Me. I'll see what I can do. So stupid me goes to the warehouse, opens up, pulls part out of our inventory and rushes them over. I tell them I'll do all the paperwork stuff Monday, but have them sign a delivery note out of my system. Next Monday, I talk to their logistics about this. They say this should not have happened, and according to planning, they should only have needed parts on Tuesday during the day. They say they will investigate. They call me the next day and tell me that the system was correct and they should not have needed parts. So no need to increase orders. I say whatevs and keep doing my work. Next Sunday rolls around. SSDD. Same SH, different day. Get a call again at 2 a.m. Me. Hey, this is me. What's up, 3SS? 3SS. Hey, me. I have a problem part here. Part is XGHYSJS. Do you have any you can send us? Me. Yeah, I do have that in stock, but we're closed. There's no one in the warehouse. 3SS. I know, but we're almost out and have another 4 hours to run. Me. I'll see what I can do. So once again, go to work, get parts, make paperwork, deliver parts, go home and crash in bed. Come Monday again, I go over to their facility and talk to logistics myself. I tell them that this is the second time, and that I have to get out of bed and go get them parts since we're closed. And that one day, I might not be available, and then what will happen? They say they will investigate, but again nothing changes. System is correct, parts should not be needed. So then next weekend, SSDD again, but this time I decide I'm too tired to give a flying F. 3SS. Hey me, I have a problem part here. Part is XGHYSJS. Do you have any you can send us? Me. Yeah, I do have that in stock, but we're closed. There's no one in the warehouse, and I'm not even at home right now. I took a weekend trip to... I'm actually home, just effing peeved off about the whole thing. 3SS. Isn't there anyone else available who can help? Me. I'll see what I can do. I call some of our people. None of them pick up, so I call 3SS. Me. Hey 3SS, I can't get anyone on the phone and I'm about 4 hours away. 3SS. But we need this part. Me. I know, but we sold you all that were ordered for this week. You shouldn't need any more. We had this problem twice already and logistics keeps telling me that delivering the parts they ordered should have been enough. 3SS. Like they know what the F they're talking about. We're running faster production for a while, and that's why we need more parts. They should have considered that in the order. Me. Sorry man, but can't help you anymore. I might be able to drop off parts later in the day when I'm back. So I hang up, and half an hour later I get calls from the logistics manager. She's furious that we're not delivering the parts that we have on hand. I tell her that yes, we do have it, but it's in my inventory and they didn't order enough. And if I were close to work, I would gladly deliver it for a third time. But since I'm far away, I can't do that. I also tell her that my people are not answering their phone, since they all have Sunday off, and most of them had already worked 6 days that week. Plus, not everyone has a key to the warehouse, and only supervisors have the keys. She's furious, but there's not much she can do at this point. Their production grinds to a halt for the rest of the shift. Come the following week, we get a big meeting with her, purchasing and the president of their company. We lay everything out, even show them my emails from the previous weeks telling them there's an issue with the planning. In the end, they decide that we just need to ship no matter what, and that we won't receive a negative rating because of any of this. Basically telling us, we have no effing clue what we're doing just to get us material, no shatter what we actually order. Of course, down the line, this caused other problems, since we kept shipping more than planned, but that's another story. The second story is, you're late even though you're early. This happened many years ago when I was 15. I worked at a Holiday Inn as a prep cook. This Holiday Inn was one of the larger and nicer ones. It had a fully equipped restaurant open all day. The chef was an older, 50 to 60ish gray hair and beard European man. He had a fairly heavy accent. I started work at 6 a.m. on Saturdays and Sundays and was always on time. My father would always drive me to work on these days. This was one of my first jobs, and I was afraid of screwing anything up, so I always showed up early enough to change and sit for a 10-minute coffee before starting. The change rooms were just a flight of stairs below the kitchen, and they kept uniforms stocked on shelves in there. This particular morning I got there at the same time I always did. I went to the change room but found no uniforms. I asked the chef where I could find uniforms, and he advised me to go to the laundry facilities and grab some clean ones, not just for me, but a cart full to bring back. As I mentioned in the beginning, this was a large hotel. It took me a full 15 minutes to go to the laundry and come back with the uniforms. After changing, I had no time to sit for a coffee, so I went right into the kitchen to start my shift. I approached the chef to ask what we're working on that morning, but before I could, he asked me, "What time is it?" I replied, "It's 6 o'clock." He said, "No, it's not, it's 6:05. You're late. Get out of my kitchen and come back to start at 6:30. He knew I had to go to the laundry for uniforms, and I tried to say something about it. He just said, "This is my kitchen, and there's no excuses for being late. Get out and come back at 6:30 and you'll be docked a half hour." Needless to say, I left the kitchen and came back to start at 6:30. From that day forward, I had to make sure I added 15 minutes to my arrival time in the event I had to get uniforms again, which did happen again. I made sure I got there early enough to have my coffee, even with a trip to the laundry. One of these days, I got there at my new usual arrival time. I put on my uniform and was making my way through the kitchen to the restaurant to have my coffee before my shift. As I passed through the kitchen, the chef saw me and asked me to get him some carrots from the walk-in cooler. I asked him, "Chef, what time is it?" He says it's 6 o'clock. I said, "No, it's 5:45. I don't start for another 15 minutes. Well, he just lost it. He started cursing me out and even threw a plate. Not directly at me, but it did shatter when it hit the floor. "You don't talk to me like that, you stupid little SH. This is my kitchen, you do what I say. Get the F out, you're fired." I guess I must have been holding on to some anger, as I didn't even think about my reply to him. It just came out. My father came to pick me up and we spoke with someone in charge. The fact that I was 15 years old and he threw a dish didn't bode well for him. We found out this isn't the first time he's thrown dishes in the kitchen like that. He was fired a couple of weeks later. The last story is, I can only sit in the dining room if I'm eating food. A long time ago, I mean something like 35 plus years, I was a wee little SH, 14 to 15, with a bit of a smart A attitude. I worked at the local pizza place and generally liked my job. My manager was a young 18 to 19 lady that the team would get high and drunk with after work, and typically just hung out and partied all the time at her apartment. Well, the owner decided that she was a little too young to be the manager, so he demoted her to assistant and hired a new general manager. We'll call him Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith ended the employee discount for food and ended our perk of getting to eat messed up orders because he thought that we messed them up all the time on purpose. Plus, he liked to eat anchovies right out of the can. Gross. So he was all around not very popular with the kids on staff, including me. Another rule that he put in place was that during our breaks, we could not sit at any of the tables in the dining area unless we were eating something. But he never specified what we had to eat. Cue the malicious compliance. At this point in history, another pizza chain that was famous for avoiding the Noid opened up a test pizza delivery place called Pizza Dispatch. This was a test to see if people would still like the pizza under a different name. The pizzas were 100% the same. The ingredients even had the original chain's names on the boxes. So one night during a really busy shift, I was told to go on break in 15 minutes. So I went to the payphone. We weren't allowed to use the store phones for unofficial business, and called up Pizza Dispatch. They took my order, didn't believe that I wanted it delivered to a different pizza place, but after I explained the situation, they were game. The guy probably didn't believe me still, but they delivered. They even expedited it for me. So 15 minutes go by. I go on break and I sit in the closet that we had for a break area until I hear Mr. Smith ask, "What the F are you doing in here?" The delivery guy reached into his bag and said, "I have a delivery for JC Macon." I stepped out and said, "That's me." Under the blistering stare of Mr. Smith, I paid for the pizza, gave a very healthy tip for the speed, then went and sat down at a dining room table, opened my box with my pizza as Mr. Smith came up, and tried to make me eat somewhere else. I said, "You said that we could only sit in the dining room on our breaks if we were eating. You bring your lunch every day. Today, I brought mine." He got pretty mad, but I didn't push him far enough to get him fired. But what did happen is that employees get our discount back. We were able to eat messed up orders, and Mr. Smith ended up teaching me a lot about work ethic, how to run a small business, complete inventory, and compute the profit and loss statement each month. This was in the mid-80s, so we didn't have computers in the stores. We did it all on paper. I ended up working for him the entire time he was a manager at our small restaurant, and followed him to another chain later on. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.